talked a lot about the Thunder yesterday. They didn't play last night, but I said they're at 10 wins. They're right there with the Nuggets and the Wolves, atop sort of the Western Conference. Minnesota 10-3, Nuggets and OKC 10-4. But yeah, let's get your opinions right now on your team. I mean, I went on a show yesterday. I went on the Raptors show. We talked a little bit about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The guys are saying, like, where would you have him right now on the MVP list? And I'm like, I mean, he finished with some fifth place votes last season.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's probably right now, as of today. I mean, it's very, very early, but top 3, something like that. Top 5 at the very least, again.
Yeah.
I just can't believe this guy's sort of gone another level, it feels like.
Yeah, the talk was, is he going to be able to average close to 30 points a game? Because you have Chet, and you have J-Dub, and you have Giddey that are all going to score. And no, he's 29.6 points per game. And he had his worst game as a Thunder player this season where he scored 7 points.
Right, so that's hurting the average.
I mean, he would be well over 30 if he didn't have that game. He's been unbelievable. And he hasn't gotten to the line as much as he did last year. He was shooting 10 free throws a game last season, 6 this year. Mm-hmm. And he's just killing in the mid-range, in spite of that. Like, he's just getting guys on their heels, stop and pop. He's been so good. He was so good in that overtime. He hit the dumbest shots in that overtime against the Warriors.
Yeah.
He looks great. He's so poised. He wants to win. Sam Vecini made this point on his podcast. The Thunder are just filled with killers. Like, just have mentally guys that just want to rip your heart out. And Shai's one of those guys. Yep. He's pretty mild-mannered off the court, really easy to talk to. Is very nice to the officials after the games, too.
Yeah. But he's nice to Chris Paul's kids. Did you see that? He was going over a couple rows.
This guy's sounding Canadian.
Yeah.
We were at Down to Dunk night the other night for my podcast, the Thunder podcast. We did Down to Dunk night. We got to shoot half-court shots for courtside seats after the game.
Oh,
it was
cool.
like part of our event.
Okay.
And Shai came out there, and he was standing out there, and I was like, Shai, you want to get a half-court shot in? And he's wearing this really tight leather coat. He's like, I can't get my arms above this, so I can't.
Fashion over everything with this guy. Yeah. But so and you're right. Like, he played so incredibly well last year. Then he takes that into the summer with Team Canada and what he did for FIBA, getting them a medal for the first time in forever. Yeah. And then he's continuing it here. It's like, that's the part that is wild. Also, he gets to 30 points easier than anyone in the league.
Easy.
It's so effortless how he just like racks up the points.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's cool to hear that. Talk about Chet Holmgren though, and what he's done as a rookie so far, and this battle between Chet and Wemby in the Rookie of the Year race. And I think you said it the other day, TK. It's like, I haven't looked at the odds, but it ain't going to be long, I think, until Holmgren's maybe the front runner in terms of the odds with how he's played.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is that he's a real shooter. Mm-hmm. He's shooting 46% from 3. Obviously, he's not going to do that all season, but the fact that he can shoot threes on, like, movement, and he's a guy that you have to pay attention to, and then can defend in the paint. I mean, he has made a huge impact, where the Thunder had basically no big men last year, and now you have this rim deterrent that's there all the time. And then he's a smart passer, he just understands the game, and he's just gritty. Like, he's just a guy that really wants to win and wants to do whatever it takes to win. He's only taken 10 shots a game right now. And, like, he has an opportunity to really be unlocked playing with Shai, and they've started to figure that out a little bit, their two-man game. That's the thing that's pretty cool if you're a Thunder fan right now, is, like, they've played well, but they're not, like, clicking yet.
Right.
They've had some bad stretches even in this 10-4 run so far, but Chet is really good. I mean, he's emerged as, to me, the clear second best player on this team. And I think he has a chance to be the best player on this team.
And you like a lot of these other players, specifically.
There's some great
J-Dub,
players.
I think, is incredible.
Dub is really good.
But you're probably right.
17 a game on 50, 40, 90, and being like a defensive game changer.
Yeah.
He's definitely the second best player, and you're right. He's got a chance as the career goes on. I do feel like he's online a lot, though. He was tweeting at Victor Wembanyama right after their game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm convinced that he's seen the comments about looking like Abe Lincoln, so now he's growing in his mustache.
He's got the mustache, yes.
I think a smart move. But I would worry a little that he's letting the haters get to him. But the guy is incredible. Do you think the defense is going to hold up for the season? They're like a top 5 defense right now.
I don't see why not. I mean, they were good last year, and they didn't have anybody at the rim. I also think that I'm calling it Chet fuel. Whenever Chet is online or whenever he gets upset about something. Like, he really, like, some guys, it will derail them.
Yes.
For Chet, like, no. Like, he wants all of it.
He wants that bulletin board
love it.
material.
Yeah.
That's good. Who else has jumped out to you early in the season?
I mean, J-Dub is so smooth with the basketball. He's somebody, I mean, he was great in the fourth quarter of that game against the Warriors, where he's getting to his mid-range jumper too. His game looks a little bit like Shea's did early on, where he can kind of get to whatever spot he wants. He gets to the rim. He's catching lobs this year. And defensively, he's really good. He's had to take on a lot of tough assignments. Like, has had to defend like Zion Williamson. He's had to defend really tough wings. I mean, he takes it all on, and he doesn't really care about the shot attempts. Like, he's just kind of along for the ride so far, which is good.
That's good.
But he's really good. And then Cason Wallace, as a rookie, has been ridiculous. He's shooting 62.5% from the field right now, 54% from three. He hasn't missed a free throw. He's 62, 54, 100 shooting splits so far, which is absurd. And then defensively, he can really hold up.
He's a dog.
Yeah, he's great. And Mark Daigneault loves him. He's played him the most minutes next to Isaiah Joe off the bench. He plays all the time. They put him in lots of different positions. I think he's the shortest guy on the team, but they put him in the dunker spot all the time. I'm workshopping they call him queso in the dunker spot. I'm workshopping a t-shirt idea there with queso in the dunker spot. But he's awesome. He's somebody that I think Thunder fans have we trust him already. Like, we feel like we could throw him in the mix in any kind of game. And they have started him. Like, J-Dub missed the game against the Blazers. They started him in his place. He's been really good. And he's been overshadowed by Chet because, like, we got these two rookies, but he's been awesome.
Is there any concern, this is going to sound crazy when it comes out of my mouth, but any concern that there's too many good players on this team? Because, Kenrich Williams now back. Isaiah Joe hasn't missed a three-pointer, I don't think, all season. Like, there is a lot of depth here, which on one hand is fantastic, especially when injuries come into play. But, these guys want minutes. They want their opportunity.
Yeah.
But how has that gone so far, and do you think it could be an issue at all?
I mean, I think it's going to be an issue at some point where you're going to have to probably consolidate at some point in this run. It's not going to be this year. Like, they're going to be fine this year. But at some point, like, Josh Giddey's going to be like, listen, like, I can take 16 shots a game.
Right, I could run a team.
Like, I can run a team. Yeah. Like, I don't need to be 12 points, 5 boards a game. He can do a lot more than that. So at some point, that's going to settle. And that happens to every team. There's like especially when you have a lot of good young players. But for now, they're trying to figure it out. There's no panic. There's no, like, what do we need to do? How do we need to shift this? It's like, stay the course.
Like, the goal is obviously get into the playoffs and get some playoff reps.
Yeah.
Like, get into series and see what we're really made of.
Yes, and that's when you see who the real players are.
Right.
Because, like, these games, like a game against the Blazers, it's like, that's the biggest, like, whatever game ever. It just doesn't matter. So, but when you get to the playoffs, like, Lou Dort was a guy that people were ragging on all year, last year, Thunder fans were. And then you get to the play-in, like, suddenly Lou Dort's your third best player.
Right.
So you really find out who your team is once you get to the playoffs. And I think they want the opportunity to find that out. Josh Giddey was the best player against the Pelicans in the playing game that they won.
Right.
So there's a lot of chatter amongst Thunder fans about Josh Giddey. And I just say, chill out. Chill out.
Chill out, you slob wizards.
Yeah, come on.
No, I think Giddey and Dort for Caruso and Vooch is the trade.
You like that?
That's the trade to make.
Get that inside presence.
Yeah, you need a rebounder.
Playoffs.
When I watch this team, I just think, we need Vooch.
Yeah. Slow it down a little. Simple game. Land of the Lilliputians out there.
What would be the biggest concern, despite this awesome start, all these guys playing well?
Yeah.
Is there one area of concern? Like, they are on fire when it comes to shooting. At some point, that's going to, like, come a little closer to the mean here with some of these guys. But is there anything else I'm missing?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one because Thunder fans are, like, bragging about, look at our true shooting percentage. I look at it and be like, guys, watch out.
Yeah.
Like, this ain't going to last forever.
Right.
And then the rebounding. Like, they're just not a good rebounding team. They weren't going to be. And that was going to be a struggle of theirs because they committed to playing Chet with basically 4 guards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you have to give up something.
Yes.
They're top 10 in offense and defense, though. When people complain about the rebounding, it's like,
They're still playing great D.
They're playing great.
I know a great rebounder.
you know somebody gets some bounds.
Yeah, just a great rebounder. But okay,
Andre Drummond?
Yeah, you want him too? Nah, he's going to the Lakers, baby. Yeah, we're sending everybody out. We'll take your 8th man. Doesn't matter. Giddey, the fit is interesting, but also the shirts you made are interesting. The Slob Wizard t-shirts.
Yeah.
How does he feel about being called Slob Wizard?
Oh, he hates it.
I love it.
He absolutely
That's how you know it's sticking around.
Yeah, he did not like it. He wants it to go away. We said, no, it's
Not
too
this
good.
year.
Shout out to John Hollinger. It's great. And we are looking for. I hope that you all of you guys wear your Slob Wizard shirts all at once.
Sure,
on
we
the
can
show.
make that happen. So, but you're saying it sounds like we're not going to get a great photo of Giddy wearing a Slob Wizard shirt.
my current goal is to get J-Dub to wear one.
That's the move.
Yeah, I think, and he's very much online too, and he would have it on Instagram. I'm hoping that we can get him to wear one. That's my current goal. Giddy, there's no chance he will even touch a Slob Wizard shirt.
And Shea's not putting on that.
Shea won't do that, although Shea does have a former Down to Dunk shirt.
Oh, okay.
Maybe in his closet. Maybe he's given it to Goodwill already. I don't know.
Respect.
Yeah, that's a team that gets their fits off for sure.
They do.
Yeah, they like to.
They
like to get dressed. You mentioned Thunder right now, top 10 on both sides of the basketball. Last year, made the play-in tournament. You said you want some sort of play-in or some sort of playoff experience this year. What do you consider like a successful season at the end of the year? It's quite likely the Thunder finish as a top 4 seed. When you finish the top 4, people kind of expect you to win a round, maybe 2.
Yeah, I think just playing in the first round.
Yeah.
Like this team just needs that experience. I think they're the 3rd youngest team in the NBA.
Oh, wow.
So they still just need that experience. Like you can't replace that experience with even just talent. It just takes time. And so I think even getting one round, and if you get punked, I think that they still feel good. And like then we talk about like trades they can make and things like that. Then you'll know.
Yeah.
Like what do we need? Is it more experience? Is it more time? Or are we so bad in one area that we were exploited that we need to go address that in the draft or through a trade or whatever?
Yeah. One of the fun things you did in the preseason, I'm sure some of the fans out there have seen some of these clips. You did preseason interviews with a lot of the guys.
Yeah.
And one of the bits was, how Oklahoma are you?
Yeah.
You had on the cowboy hat, and sometimes the guys would also try on the cowboy hat.
They had to earn it.
Jalen Williams, they had to earn it. I mean, he was having so much fun in this interview. But you do seem like there's a really cool collection of, despite being very young, like pretty fun guys go with the flow guys. Any good stories from the how Oklahoma are you bit?
They were really good sports about it. J-Dub, so I had like a list of players that were supposed to come to my station. J-Dub wasn't on it, but I went and grabbed him and was like, hey, will you like do this like bit with me? He's like, oh yeah, like he came right over. Like he was all pumped about it. Just making so I had them look into the camera and like give a howdy. Shea did terrible in this. Didn't hardly know anything.
Because it was like trivia.
Yeah, it was like very basic Oklahoma trivia.
Right.
There's people like Oklahomans are like appalled that these guys don't know this stuff. It's hilarious.
You're asking them like, what's the national or the state bird? It's like
the cassowary.
Don't know the scissortail flycatcher? No. But they were really good sports. Shea did horrible, and so if they did that, the bit at the end was to have them look into the camera and say "dead gummit," and I told Shea to say "dead gummit," and he was like, "No, I can't say that," as if it were like something really bad. And I was like, "Will you just say dead gum?" And he was like, "Dead gum," and it was so funny. Chet, when he put on the hat, you can see it at the end. He puts it on the back of his head, and then he just like looks up really awkwardly into the camera. It was beautiful.
Who was the best? In trivia.
J-Dub did really well.
Oh, okay.
J. Will did good. He when I asked him, so like one of the best places in Oklahoma is called Brahms.
Okay.
They make great ice cream. They have milk. They make burgers and stuff. It's awesome. But I asked them, where's the best place to get milk and ice cream? And J. Will said, he thought about it a second and goes, a cow.
Oh, that's good.
I have to.
That's a great answer.
I have to award you points for saying a cow.
I highly recommend you go check these clips out. How Oklahoma are you? Anything else you got, TK?
Were those your hats?
They were not. They were all borrowed hats.
Hats.
I do not. I mean, you can see that it does not quite fit me.
Yeah.
So it was. They were all borrowed hats. Shout out to a guy, a like distant relative of mine. His name is Sherl, who I borrowed hats from. So
that's his first name?
Sherl.
Yeah. That guy. He's from Oklahoma?
I'm from Oklahoma.
Sure sounds like it.
Owns lots of cowboy hats.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Excellent. Anything else, TK?
Yeah, the Thunder got 1 million picks. How many in the next however many drafts?
I think they have 18.
What are they going to do with them? Are they going to trade up like Case and Wallace style where they package a bunch of middle of the round first rounders to try and get a guy that they really like? I guess they did that with Jang last season as well. Mm-hmm. Or are they going to hang on to him and try and draft a whole bunch of guys to keep the cost down a little bit.
So we've started to see a little bit of what they're doing with these picks is that they have these maybe middling first-round picks, and they're trading them to the future for picks that are better. And so they're going to do more of that. I think Presti kind of learned his lesson the last time around where they had a ton of opportunities to make the team better early on. They kind of used those picks. A lot of them didn't come to fruition. And then when it came time to win, they didn't have anything to spend. They had their own picks to spend. They acquired Dion Waiters and Enes Kanter, but that's about all they could acquire. This time around, they want to wait until they have the overlapping primes of all these players and then be able to use those assets for players. So now they're going to try to kick the can down the road when they can. They're probably going to pick somebody in this upcoming draft. But, yeah, I mean, they want to use these assets differently than almost everybody has. I mean, they're really doing something that no team has ever really given the chance to do.
True.
Because, like, the Sixers tried to do it. And then management was changed, and once it was changed, it was like, let's give $1 billion picks for Tobias Harris and like call it a day.
Yeah.
Presti's going to have a chance to really do what he wants with this team throughout the next, hopefully, like 5-6 years.
Right.
And then once they become like the team that they believe they can be, then you can start to fill in the gaps with these first-round picks and trade for players and do what you need to do. But for now, they're going to sit on them. They're going to make a couple picks in the draft next year and probably just have people talk about them on podcasts for a long time.
Yeah, I was going to say, their name's always going to come up because you have so much talent that, like you said, consolidates some of us, and you have so many picks. Like, so anytime a star player is on the market, OKC is obviously one of the names out, but
they can trade for just about anybody because you have the young players, you have all the picks, you have some additional salary like Lou Dort, you have Davis Bertans' contract, which is going to be mentioned 1 billion times between now and the trade deadline. Will they do anything with it? Maybe not.
You don't think so, it sounds like.
I really don't think so. I think that they still have a lot of questions. As much as we love this team, there's a lot of questions about what this team can be. Ousmane Dieng, he's playing with the G League right now. They expended some assets to get that guy. I mean, they picked him 11th. They want to see what he is, and they know that he's going to take some more time. So I don't think they're going to trade for somebody in that spot where they really need him to grow a little bit, and at least to see, like, is he going to be a player? Maybe not. Maybe he is. Who knows? But they want to see that play out a little bit before they just trade for some guy.
Good time to be a Thunder fan. You got some good problems there in OKC.